Well, welcome back, everybody. No, we were not done yet. I lost track of the days. I thought I had gone over all the sections for Kajabi fundamentals. And then Julie, one of my members, mentioned, oh, you had pipelines down for today. And I went, but I did pipelines yesterday. But we had people. We haven't covered the people section. So that's what this live and this training is going to be about. And yes, I changed my Kajabi Hero shirt because it was just 5 days of cat hair. And I haven't worn it all day for 5 days, so it's not that messed up, but I'm kind of tired of it, honestly. So let's talk people, the most important thing in our business, right? In Kajabi, we have a section that is called people. And that's where all of our, I just realized I don't have my laptop going. That is where all our email list people are. It's where our members are. And it's pretty important. I will truthfully tell you, I don't recall that if during previous trainings that on the email marketing part, how much I talked about that people section and segmenting, but it bears repeating for sure. So what we're going to do is hop over to my demo site and we're going to take a look at people. Okay, this is our Kajabi dashboard. You can see. And also there is analytics. I forgot about analytics, but watch my video from day one because I tell you a better alternative to using analytics in Kajabi, just personally. So because this is a demo site, there's not a lot of people. I think I did share information about segmenting the list when we talked about email marketing, but it doesn't hurt to go over it once again. So when somebody signs up for your lead magnet or register for a webinar or other event, or when they buy a product from you, they're going to go into your people section. Now, I definitely know I went over the difference between using the double opt-in and the single opt-in. So it's very important to know if you are using double opt-in, you can't expect to look at the number of form submissions and expect them to exactly match your people list. The reason is, unless somebody does the double opt-in and confirms their email address, they're not going to show in this section ever until they do that or they buy something. So you have to keep that in mind, that talking about keeping a good list, again, in some countries, it's really a requirement. It's the law because of their privacy laws, anti-spam laws, that people have to confirm their email address with you before you can contact them. But in the people section, you're going to see, of course, their name, their email address, and their status as far as email marketing is concerned. And I'm going to click on that, and you'll see that it goes right to a Kajabi site that explains what the different subscription status is for everything. So there's obviously subscribed. There's obviously unsubscribed if they've unsubscribed from your list. And they're excluded. And this is something that came up, and this is getting into a whole big topic and a big can of worms, but there was a lot of problems with what were considered high risk, in some cases, fake email accounts that were on people's email lists across Kajabi. Not everybody, obviously. But each email sender like Kajabi or ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, any of those, they have to preserve their reputation to make sure that the emails that go through their system are delivered. And they don't want their customers to have email contacts on their lists that may be fake, that may be bots, because it shows low quality lists and it hints at spamming. So you'll see that there is this option in Kajabi if they see or they figure out that you may have some emails on your list that are, quote, high risk, they're going to put them under excluded. Now, as long as I've been using Kajabi, I've never had anybody on my email list marked as excluded. So I do think it's kind of rare unless you have tens of thousands of email subscribers. And also, depending on whether or not you bought that email list from somewhere, and those emails may or may not be valid. So I'm going to come back over here, and obviously you can see all these people, and this is such a joke. This is so funny. The reason why, and this is a demo account. So usually the only email addresses that should be on there are my email addresses, because this is not a public site for anybody. But one time I did a video and I showed an opt-in that I created that was a form that you could put on a WordPress site. And somehow people found that and they've been subscribing. I mean, they haven't. I can see now that nobody subscribed for a year. But these people on this email list, I guess they just tried it to see if it would work. But this is a demo account, so there was nothing there. So there's people on this email list that I don't know who they are. So the one thing, though, and we did talk about it, is with our people list. Oh, let's go ahead and I think this Deanna account might work for us. Kajabi doesn't have a classic, what is called a customer relationship management system, or CRM. They don't have one as I classify a CRM. To me, a CRM is sort of a sales database that you manage people through a pipeline. So it's more something, I'm going to date myself, but do you all remember a program? It was called ACT, and it was a database of contacts. And so you could use that to say, I had a sales call today with this person and I'm putting them on a follow-up in a week. And then it was like an electronic tickler file, right? That it would say, hey, here are all the follow-up calls you need to make today. Kajabi doesn't do that. And when people are always like CRM, that's what I consider a CRM. However, what it does is it does contain the history and status and purchases of the people in your list. So we can look at the life cycle, and it would show how many times, how long that person has been on your list, the emails that they received, whether or not they opted in. So this is just sort of a running history of this contact. They subscribed to this freebie. They got the first email, the immediate email. They got the second day email. You can see all of that there. And obviously you can see under life cycle, whoops, I went too far. Sorry about that. You can see if they've made purchases and the total amount of net revenue. If that person has tags, you would see all the tags here. And if you needed to tag them, you can add a tag as easy as that. Most of our tags, remember, are added as parts of automations based on them clicking a link or something along those lines. Then we have info. So then we know when that person was added to our list, that they were subscribed, or if they were unsubscribed. In this case, they were, looks like it says I'm unsubscribed. Okay. If they purchased, it would show you all the offers that they purchased. If they had products, so this is not a good example. And notes, you can actually make notes. So some people would consider that enough to classify this as a CRM. To me, I expect something a little bit more than that, but you could technically make notes and have notes in here on a particular contact. If you click on more actions, you can hide this contact. You can grant them an offer. So if, for example, you're in a conversation and it's a member that has one offer and you want to basically gift them another offer for free, you can use this grant offer to click on a link and choose an offer that you want them to have. And when this happens, there's an email that's generated that goes out to that contact and it says, you've been granted this offer, and gives them a link to log in to access it. So I'm just going to click back. If somebody can't reset their password, everybody has the option on the login screen to request to reset their password, but sometimes people have a hard time with that and they don't quite understand the concept. I don't know why in this day and age. But you can send them a link from here for them to reset their password. And sometimes you need to do that to help people out. And in the people section, again, we've got segments. So segments are an easy way to filter your list. And you can filter by, in this case, we're already looking at everybody, people who are members. Members are somebody who have submitted a form or purchased or been granted an offer. So they're going to have a little star. See that little star next to my name right there? That classifies me as a member because I was granted that offer. We can pull up those that are subscribed. We can pull up those that are inactive. Any emails that hard bounced, usually when it's a hard bounce, it means the email, there's something wrong with the email address and it's incorrect. And anybody that's excluded, and excluded was, as I mentioned, any email address that Kajabi deems as potentially high risk. If you've created segments, I have some examples in here. Creating segments means that you've defined through filters how you want those people to be categorized. In this case, I was looking for anybody that was tagged to receive a welcome email sequence. And so when I clicked on that, these 3 people came up because they all have that particular tag. Now, I do recall I did go over, and I'll go over it again real quick, that when we do our filtering, we can filter by a number of things. This is why I always say that my preference is for people to use the Kajabi email, especially starting out, because it's so much easier because Kajabi knows everything. It knows who submitted a form, who used a coupon, who registered for an event, who has a tag. So it's so much easier to control and filter the list because all the activity has occurred in Kajabi, and you can then do this. If you're using an external email system, you do have to set up automations to basically tell the other email sequence when somebody's bought something, when somebody's canceled, a membership or something or registered for an event. So there's more integration that's required to make sure that that information is sent to the other email system, because it's important for your marketing that you're sending the right message to the right people based on their actions. So the filtering, you can filter by activity, assessment. If somebody submitted an assessment, we didn't go over assessments, but I'll go over assessments here in a minute. Coupons, a custom field, default fields, email activity, email broadcasts, email sequences, events, forms. This is why when people tell me, oh, I added an automation to add a tag that somebody submitted a form, you don't need to do it. It's kind of wasting a tag, because you can always pull up the information to say who submitted a form, and it's going to tell you who has or has not purchased a particular offer. Now that's interesting. How am I going to filter by people? Oh, they're subscribed, they're a member, or they're hidden. That's how I'm going to do it. Products, who owns a product, who doesn't own a product, and then of course by tags. And like I said, don't use up a tag for any of these things that you can already filter for, because you're just kind of wasting a tag. A tag is a good use when it's something outside of this. So I think I had mentioned earlier this week, an example is if you send an email out and you give people an option to opt out of a promotional email sequence, that would be a tag. If you sent out an email and you were inquiring of your email list to be able to segment them by their interests in the content that you present, that's a tag. So somebody is interested in Kajabi, or somebody's interested in email marketing, or somebody's interested in Canva. So you can set up links so that when people click, they get tagged with the interest that they've indicated. And that means you know more about your audience, which is always, always a big plus. And you also can tag them and send very specific information to those people with a specific tag. So it's a fantastic way to do it. So that is the importance of sorting and filtering and creating segments. So I'm pretty sure is one of the examples I mentioned about doing a list for people that were participating in Coaching Week, but giving people the opportunity, if they didn't want to hear anything about Coaching Week, they were tagged. I used that in an automation on every email that I sent out to exclude anybody who said they didn't want to hear about Coaching Week, but they wanted to stay on my email list. So that's how I use that. So that's really the big focus of our people. I really highly recommend the segmenting. Oh, and you can see here, manage tags. You can, there's all kinds of weird tags in here because these are examples we created for members during Q&A calls when they were trying to set things up. So I would demonstrate. So that's why we've got all kinds of weird, different looking tags in here. Here's an example, interests. Somebody would be an advanced, a beginner, or an intermediate. Topics that they might be interested in. I have my own different way of organizing my tags. So anyway, but you can manage tags and add tags here, delete tags if you don't want to use them any longer, all here. So also under people, we have assessments. Now assessments, let's just be upfront right now. Assessments are not recommended to use them as sort of personality quizzes for segmenting your list. I understand there's some people that have developed code that you can do it, but the principal use of assessments is exactly that, to assess the knowledge of your students. So very often people will create an assessment, which is like a quiz, to evaluate if they have absorbed the content that you're teaching. And you can even use an assessment as a means of, they have to pass the assessment with a specific score, meaning they get enough answers right to proceed in the course. And some people that are doing courses for certifications, for example, they need to have that kind of confirmation that the people are actually understanding and learning before they can continue through the process. So that's what assessments are for. I also use them as surveys. I find that they work really great for surveys. And it's just a matter of organizing it by the questions that you want. Excuse me. And you can automatically grade it. So here again, if you want to make sure somebody has to achieve a passing grade of 70%, getting 70% of the answers correct, you can do that right here. Otherwise, it says they don't pass. And then once you get in here, you can automatically grade the assessment. You can show the results breakdown. You can customize the language, telling them to click the button below to start. You can do automations based on somebody completes the assessment. You could do an automation to send them an email. After they submit the assessment, you send a completion email with a link to the results. And you can send an email to your team or yourself to notify you that it was done. So assessments can come in very, very handy. And since we're here, we'll talk about analytics. So some of these are good. You can see your net revenue. Again, this is dummy site, so no transactions have actually taken place in here. You can look at your subscription metrics, and your subscription metrics is based on people that are on a recurring payment, like a membership. And you can use that to evaluate your turnover rate. So pretty much, I'd prefer to look at it as your retention rate. For example, how many people stay in the membership versus canceling. So you can look at that and shoot for a goal of 80 to 90% retention month over month with your members. Opt-ins, tracking the submissions to your form. I discussed in the first day video training about, I think this is kind of, can be suspect because of you testing it. You're always going to, if you are testing and previewing and submitting forms, it's not going to distinguish from you from somebody else. So your numbers are never going to be completely accurate. Page views are absolutely never accurate for the reasons I explained in that other video. Product progress. This is a really good one because it allows you to see how many of your students are consuming the content, how much they've consumed, when's the last time they logged in. And you can also set up automations to try and encourage them to keep consuming the content and keep going through the course. How many offers were sold, and if you have affiliate stats. So that's our analytics. So I'm going to come back over here. And that was a pretty straightforward, some of that I had gone over. I remember now I'd gone over it when we talked about email marketing, but I wanted you to have a better overview of what the people tab was like. And since we were there, we went over assessments as well. No, yeah, assessments and stats. So I do believe we've pretty much gone over everything. One thing we didn't, and if you are somebody that is in the position that you want to set up affiliates, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Most people are not quite at that level yet where they are setting up an affiliate program. Affiliate program simply means that you are offering the opportunity to have people recommend your products, and in return, you're going to pay them a referral reward or fee or commission or whatever you want to call it. And Kajabi does not have the most robust affiliate setup. There are better ones out there. For most people who are just starting out, it works pretty well, but it's more manual because you can generate the report that shows referrals by affiliate, and it will calculate what the commission is to pay them, but then you have to manually put that list into PayPal to actually pay people. So that was just a quick overview of affiliates. All right, I don't see any questions. So this again is going to be available until later next week. And you can ask any questions in the comments if you're watching on the replay. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you in the group. Bye-bye.